For those that want to buy the Wolverine V3 Pro, the Victrix Pro BFG, and the G7 Pro, I got something to say. I've got all three controllers, you see? I got all three controllers. And so I wanted to test them to see what it feels like to play. And whoever's watching this, if you're thinking about buying these three controllers, I'm gonna let you know right now what it feels like. So the Wolverine was by far the hardest to actually use. It does have mouse click, but it doesn't feel like traditional mouse click. It feels more like a hybrid between a mouse click and a membrane. If you know what just in case if you don't know what a membrane button is, it's basically the same button feeling as a regular Xbox controller. That feels like squishy, that squishy type of button from a regular Xbox controller. That's a membrane. That's a regular membrane. So you see the regular, it has regular membranes, but it doesn't feel like a traditional membrane. It feels more like a more advanced, a shorter click type of membrane right here with the X, Y, and B buttons, you see, and the A buttons. And then the D-pad does feel like a somewhat of what you call it, a regular mouse click. See? But the thing that gets me is the paddles in the back. These don't really feel like regular mouse click. They feel like they're a little bit harder to press than your traditional mouse click. So if you're thinking about grabbing this controller, now you know. You see? The sticks, when you first pick it up, it feels different than the Victrix or a regular Xbox controller or a regular DualSense Edge. DualSense Edge, or even or the Elite Series 2, which I don't have because it broke, but I had the Elite Series 1, the Elite Series 2. I've had a regular Xbox controller, of course, and I've tried all of these at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but, you know. And so this is by far the hardest to use. The sticks, they feel floaty. They don't feel like a traditional Xbox controller where they feel more grounded. They feel more like they're floating in the air. And so it's kind of hard to actually use in game for me personally. And the controller's it's a 10 out of 10 as far as build quality, but it's due to the floaty sticks, it's really, really hard to use if you don't get the right sensitivity. So it's more meant for people that have big hands. So if you're over 6 feet and you got big hands, then this controller is gonna feel good for you. The build quality is good, but for me, once you start sweating or your palm gets hot, right here on the right side, you start to lose grip right here on the right side. Something that I noticed when I played. You start to really lose grip, you know. And then the triggers, you see, they're more hard to actually press than your traditional mouse click. And you know that a mouse click on the mouse is easy to press down even with a finger. This feels like a little harder. You will feel it when you pick it up for the first time if you buy it. It feels like a little hard type of mouse click. So it doesn't feel like a traditional mouse click. It feels more like a hybrid mouse click between a membrane and a mouse click. But not bad, not bad. You see? The dead zones are important. I'm going to talk about the dead zones. The dead zones on this controller is, when I first plugged it in, it had maximum of 5. It couldn't go any lower than 5 without getting stick drift. So I did the calibration software on this controller and it went down to 3 without stick drift. And so on the software, you can't customize a lot of these buttons in the front. You can only customize a certain amount of buttons, which is not good. And so it has a feature called Prevent Double Dead Zone. I think that's what it's called. And so what it does is it'll use the dead zone that it's on the Razer software and not the dead zone in game. You know, and so the dead zone is 3, so it's not bad. You know, but when you first unbox it, just make sure you calibrate the controller because the calibration is off. You don't get stick drift or anything. It's just that it just doesn't feel good. It feels slow. And so that's the dead zone. You know, anything lower than 3 and it doesn't, and you'll actually get stick drift on it, which I can't show you because right now I got everything unplugged, but yeah. You know, another thing too is that the Razer software, it can go 1% or 2% dead zones. It can only go from 0 to 3%, which is 3% dead zone, and then from 3 to 5. You can't go the numbers in between in the software. The Lord knows why they do that, but yeah. So that's the Wolverine V3 Pro, whoever is watching this. Overall, not bad. I do feel like it could be smaller for my hands. I mean, I'm short, but not bad. Once you get used to it, it's pretty good. And then I'm gonna start off with the G7 Pro. The G7 Pro, what I first noticed when I first picked it up is how pushed up the buttons are. Like the sticks, the buttons, and the D-pad, everything is just more pushed up than a traditional Xbox controller or an Elite Series controller. So that's one thing you'll know when you first pick it up. When you first pick it up, it does feels like similar to a regular Xbox controller. Not super close, but somewhat. You'll feel right at home. The triggers feel similar to it, except they're a little bit thicker. And you see the difference between this mouse click and then you see? You can literally feel how hard it is, how a lot harder it is to actually press. And so with this controller, what I really like is that the back buttons, when you don't use them, they blend in, you see? So it feels, so if you don't want to use these back buttons, you could turn them off, lock them, and they blend in with the controller. See? They blend in. But this controller was actually really, really good to use, I'm not gonna lie. So if you had a choice between this and the Elite Series, definitely pick this. Definitely pick this. When I first picked it up, the maximum dead zone that this controller does, that I checked on the software and in games, is anywhere between 4.4 and 6.6. Battlefield 6, it does left stick 6.6, right stick 4.4. So not bad, way better than an Elite Series controller. An Elite Series controller, you can do minimum of 5 or higher if you were to set up the dead zones. So this controller is pretty good. For TMR sticks, it's not bad. So when you unplugged, when I unplugged the little thumb drive that comes in the box, for some reason it went down to like 3.3 or 2.2 or 2 on the left hand and then like 4.4 on the right hand. Lord knows why it does that, but I do feel like the software on the controller is a little off. But if you're thinking about getting an Elite Series controller for $180 or this, definitely pick this. This is way better. This is way better. You won't regret it. Just make sure you get the Wu-Chang edition, because this controller is the Wu-Chang edition, and it's the only edition that is wireless for Xbox. The regular G7 Pro, only wireless for PC and only wireless for mobile. It's wired for Xbox mandatory. So, you know, the color don't bother me. I didn't get it for the color. I just got it to get it wireless for Xbox because, you know, I care about wireless. So the software is actually pretty good. Out of the box, when you first unbox this, the dead zone is 5 by default. And then the maximum dead zone, you know, the maximum dead zone is like 99 or 100 in a lot of games. It's lowered down to, I think, like what, 95? So 5 between minimum 5 and then the maximum 95. If my memory serves me correct. So it's set up that way by default. But when you lower down to 0, it can't do 0.0 dead zone at all. The Wolverine can't even do 0.0 dead zone. But you could set it dead zone 1, 2, 3, and 4, and in between, something that the Wolverine really can't do, you know? So actually not bad, this controller, not bad. I mean, everything is more pushed up. When you first grab it, you're gonna notice how the sticks and then the buttons are more like pushed up, like if the company made it for large hands for some reason. That's the way they felt for me, you know? And so you see how much space I got between my thumb and, see? But when you pick something like the Wolverine, it's a lot shorter, you see? See, the corner of my thumb just hits right there. So everything is just pushed up in this controller. You know, so by far, not bad. For $100, I'd rather get this than the Elite Series, to tell you the truth. So again, if you're thinking about buying the Elite Series or this, then I will recommend this because it's $100. Way better sticks, first of all. The dead zones is a lot lower, which means your controller is going to be a lot faster for the money. So for the money, it's pretty good. For the money, it's pretty good. So which brings me to the Victrix. The Victrix right now, from all the testing, from all the controllers that I've had over the years since I've been a console player, this is the fastest controller that I've ever laid my hands on. Allow me to explain. So this is how short the triggers are. See? These are not mouse click triggers, by the way. These are regular analog triggers, if you will, you see? So on things like the finals, or you can literally press it as lightly as you can, and the aim down sight or the aim down sight will register. Or if you shoot, you can shoot even with the minute, with the tiniest press, it'll register. That's how fast it is. The dead zones is outstandingly good. The dead zone's outstanding good. It could go 0-0 on every single game I've tried. It could go, it's gone 0-0 dead zone on Battlefield 2042 when it was out. It does 0-0 dead zone on Battlefield 6. It does 0-0 dead zone on the finals. It does 0-0 dead zone on Rainbow Six Siege. And all the games that I've tried, and I haven't tried, I play a certain amount of games, does 0-0 dead zone on in every single one. And so the dead zone is really that good. It's really, really that, by far the fastest controller that I've ever laid my hands on. However, mine is customized. I installed TMR sticks, you see? And then by installing, I took off the potentiometer module, unscrewed it from, when you take it off, there's some screws there. I took it off. And from Amazon, I took out the guts and installed TMR sticks. So now my A, B, and Y bar are mouse click, you see? And my D-pad is mouse click, something that didn't happen before. I do have the Hall Effect module because this is the regular BFG, not the reloaded. And so the reason why I took it off is because the pooling rate is really, really low. And the sticks are super tight. The sticks are really, really tight. And so I noticed it on Call of Duty, on Black Ops 6, where when you're trying to aim down sight or you're trying to move left or right with your same sensitivity, it gets stuck. So I have to increase my sensitivity in order to make up for the shorter pooling rate that it has. It has a really short pooling rate compared to every other controller. It's like 125 or something, really, really low. So I bought the TMR sticks and it made it a lot faster. It gave me mouse clicks. You see, something I didn't have before. These buttons on the regular Hall Effects, on the regular module Hall Effects, are not mouse click. They're just regular membrane, regular buttons. Up here is fine, it's regular membrane. You see? So it's really the fastest controller I've ever had. So as far as speed, this one I feel like I aim a lot better. It registers a lot faster, and then, but the thing that I will say that it will annoy you if you're whoever's watching this is that it's so fast that we tend, us gamers, if you're a console gamer like me, we tend to rest our fingers on the triggers, right? And then, you know, in 2042 is guilty of that. In 2042, in Battlefield 2042, when it was out, before Battlefield 6, you had to press an L and R trigger to switch classes. I know I've done it millions of times. Other people have done it millions of times where you will switch classes by mistake due to how sensitive the triggers are. So they're that fast, that fast. This controller is really, really speedy. The lowest dead zones ever. And so as you know, the dead zones are how fast the buttons or the triggers register into the game. How fast does it do it? The higher the number, the higher the delay the controller has. The lower the number, the faster the controller is gonna register input. So a lot of pros saying Call of Duty depend on that for their controllers. Get the lowest dead zones ever, you know. This controller does 0-0 dead zone on every single game I've tried. Call of Duty, Siege, Battlefield 6 is really that good. Really, really that good. What destroys it is the short pooling rate, which the company PDP has said that made the controller. So if you can just switch it to TMR sticks like I did, it's a hell of a controller. It's a hell of a controller. See, it's a little bit wider than a standard Xbox controller. It's a little bit smaller according to measurements, but not bad. This, I don't care if it's mouse click, it don't really matter. You see, the paddles, it's a little scuffed up because I've used it a lot. You know, a little bit of dirt dip, but you know. Switch profiles on the fly by pressing this button. It'll light up in different colors. I got the regular purple default one to games like Call of Duty or Battlefield. And then the next over, I think it's blue if I'm not mistaken. That's the next color over when you press it again. That one I have for like Siege. I'm not a pro Siege player, but hey, that's one thing I'll notice. The software, not bad. It kind of glitches on Xbox. So you gotta wait, you gotta give it like 5 seconds when you first boot up the app on the Xbox. And so, but it updated the controller right away. You just need to plug it in to update it. Can't do it wirelessly, Lord knows why. But on the Wolverine, I had an issue with the Wolverine though, where I was playing the finals and the battery was dying. I wanted to play the game and then charge the controller. I ran into desync issues with it. Now on the app, it doesn't. You can't download a software update on the controller on the Xbox like every other controller does on Xbox. You need a PC. That's one of the things that annoys me about this controller. And the only problem is it is available for Mac because I got a MacBook Pro, but I got an Intel-based MacBook Pro. You need a M1 and above MacBook Pro called Apple Silicon. That's the only way you're gonna download the software. You'll get an error message saying, sorry, it's only, you need an Apple Silicon Mac to download the software. So I can't even update it. So, but other than that, it's difficult controller to get used to due to the ergonomics. So I'm really not a fan of the ergonomics. So that's one issue that I've encountered. With the G7 Pro, I've encountered issues with the stick drift. It'll be one game, it'll be number 2, and then when you unplug it and replug it, and again it might be 4 or 5. It's just all over the place. So I think the software errors out somehow, because when I first opened it, it was between 5.5 and 6.6 as far as dead zones. So it was super high, like a regular Xbox controller. But then when I unplugged it and plugged it back in after a while to use it, because I was testing out and comparing all the controllers at the same time, it went down to like 2.2, 3.3, 4.4. So it's very unstable when it comes to the dead zones. So I think that's a software thing. So to wrap it all up, if you like the ergonomics of the Wolverine, if you like how it feels, and you got big hands, and you're 6 feet tall, 6'5", then this one is gonna feel comfortable for you. The Victrix is gonna feel a little cramped, in my opinion, a little cramped, because that's how I felt. I'm 5'6", I'm short, so this felt a little bit weird for me at first. It took me like almost a month to get used to it. It feels way different than an Xbox controller. It feels way different than a Wolverine or any other controller you've ever felt. It feels way different. Once you get used to it, it's really good. If you're the type of person that's looking for the fastest of the fastest, the king of delay, the king of fast controllers, in my opinion is this, because I've tested out myself. This is by far the fastest. The response time is super fast. The latency is literally 0. The dead zone is just 0 on every single game. However, if you don't want to spend $200 and you're looking for a cheap pro controller that's really good, then the G7 Pro is the way to go. If you're debating about the Elite Series 2 controller or this, definitely this wins. I could recommend this. This feels similar to a regular Xbox controller. It feels similar to an Elite Series controller. And this one, you're going to be better, whoever's watching this, you're going to be better off and happy with this one. It has the paddles when you need it. It blends in with the back when you don't. So when you grab it and you don't press it anymore, you see the little knobs right there thing. It blends in like a regular Xbox controller. So it's really, really good. Another thing I will say about the D-pad, just make sure that in the software, you lock the D-pads. Because, for example, if you're in the finals and you use the D-pad to switch to your gadgets, it won't register. I encountered that issue when I first used the controller. So what you need to do is go to the software and lock the D-pad. It's in the settings somewhere. When you lock the D-pad, it'll work normally. So that way, when you're in the middle of a firefight, you try to, heal yourself, or you're trying to, put whatever gadget on the floor, and then at that quick moment when you press it, make sure that it won't register unless you lock the D-pad, because it's meant for like fighting games, the D-pad. So that's one thing. Once I did that, it fixed it right up. That's another issue I encountered. Something wrong with the D-pad. But once I did that, it fixed it right up. This is my personal controller, the Victrix. I chose it because it's fast, because of the response times. It's really, really good for the response times. I've beaten PC players. I've gone versus PC players in a lot of games. And I've done really good because of how fast this controller is. Hard to get used to it at first, but once you do, it's really good. If you got big hands, this one is the way to go. So again, if you don't want to spend $200 or you're thinking about getting the Elite Series or this, definitely pick this. So those are all the controllers. So whoever's watching this, I hope you learned something. Hope I helped you out. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.